which NFL teams are making the playoffs and who's staying home. It's Who's In, Who's Out on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's football station.
All right, time for Who's In, Who's Out. These are the 12 teams we think will make the NFL playoffs after 2 full weeks of play. The Monday Nighter last week is in the books. So let's see, fellas, who's in and who's out this week in the NFL playoffs. Pete Thompson, let's start with you. AFC East, it's around the room Patriots, so let's go to the North.
Yep, North would be the Steelers, Mike, for me. I think the Steelers, I've had them in all 3 weeks now of who's in and who's out, and there's nothing they did wrong in a 26-9 win over the Vikings that made me think, if anything, the Steelers haven't realized their full potential yet. Antonio Brown hasn't been in the end zone yet, and that Le'Veon Bell. They haven't realized their full potential yet, in my opinion. Steelers are the North.
Steelers still. No changes.
Yes,
They're there.
Steelers in the North. Although Baltimore is 2-0. Just throwing that out there. All right, in the South, Josh, who we got?
I'm sticking with a pick from last week, the Titans. I think they are the best team in the division. They have the best offensive line. I think they have the most consistent of all the quarterbacks of that mess of a division. And their defense is looking pretty nice as well. And how about that shovel pass to Delaney Walker? Oh, and Jalen Ramsey's the punk.
The AFC South has been my Achilles heel so far. I had Houston in week 1. I had Jacksonville in week 2. Okay, I'm on the Titans board. You go out and throw up 37 points and do what you're supposed to do on the road, no less. Titans are my AFC South in.
Titans in for me. They're probably the most complete team of a very bad division, although I'm not counting Houston out yet. They're going to be I don't think there's a wild card from that division, though. In the West, Pete Thompson.
Oakland in week 1, Oakland in week 2, Oakland in week 3, had the double bubble going between Carr and Crabtree.
You got a triple bubble of 2-0 teams in that division, by the way.
It's hard to pick the best of 3 2-0 teams, but in my opinion, it's been the Oakland Raiders.
Raiders, of the 3 teams, best quarterback, best offensive line, either the first or second best pass rush of the division, and most importantly, they got the most bad you-know-what running back in the division. Marshawn Lynch is running inspired.
It's a bad mamma jamma. I'm going Kansas City. I'll stick with them. I had them in the beginning. I had them last week. I'll stick with them. They are a very, 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 very good team. That team's pretty good, man.
Wild cards, I have KC as my first wild card and Baltimore as my second wild card. Now, I had Baltimore in week 1 as the second wild card, Baltimore in week 2, now Baltimore in week 3. Can I get some support for the Ravens from the rest of you guys?
Well, I actually had the Ravens in my playoffs the last 2 weeks, but I'm taking them out. I'm keeping the Broncos in. I'm inserting the Chiefs as my other wild card team because I am concerned that the Ravens, as the team with the most players injury listed in the last 4 years in NFL history, are continuing to have guys go to the injury list.
I'm going Oakland and Denver. I think 3 teams from the West are getting in. That Denver defense is pretty darn good. Don't love the offense, but their defense, 38 points they've given up. Really, so far in the AFC, it's only Baltimore, Denver. I mean, Miami did win, so they're undefeated 1-0, but there's not a lot of options in that AFC. The AFC is not as deep.
Trevor Siemian is the first quarterback since 2013 to throw for 4 touchdown passes against the Cowboys.
Hey, now.
NFC time, Mike Gill. Guess we'll start what? With the NFC West? You want to start there?
Surely, Peter.
All right. I had Seattle in week 1. I had Seattle in week 2. I have Seattle begrudgingly in week 3. That's a bad division, but somebody's got to win it.
Well,
I think it's the
begrudgingly.
Seahawks. Well, they didn't look that good. They looked like they were going to get beat, quite frankly.
The Seahawks may have one of the worst offensive lines in the league, but they have one of the best defenses in the league. Give me Pete Carroll and the boys.
Yeah, I'm going with Seattle, but their offensive line is a big problem. The only problem other than that is there's not another team in that division that's any good. I mean, a couple of years ago, that was the best division in football, and here we are just like 3-4 years later, and it is a absolute joke, the NFC West. So I'm sticking with Seattle, even with that porous offensive line. Pete Thompson, who wins the South? It's a tough one.
I've been with the Bucks the whole way. I had the Bucks in week 1. Then, of course, they got Irma, so they did not play. I had the Bucks in week 2, and they went out and delivered on my optimism for the Bucks by winning their game. And I still have the Bucks in week 3. I think Tampa Bay is going to be on top of that division, despite what some other good teams in the division did.
I've been going Falcons all the way since before the season. I think you saw what they can do against the Packers. Dontari Poe really showed out, and that was a big free agent acquisition for them. Give me the Falcons.
You know what? I was impressed by the Falcons on Sunday night. They dominated that game. I thought at home, new stadium, Green Bay, revenge. I thought they'd fall flat on their face, and they came out and punched Green Bay in the mouth. I was pretty impressed by Atlanta. So I'm going Atlanta in the South. I'm finally starting to believe in them.
Come to the dark side?
Just a little bit.
Mike Gill coming to the dark side.
A lot of people have said that I smell like beef and cheese. Maybe that's why I'm still in love with the Packers. I'm not in love with them, but I certainly have them winning the division in the NFC North, guys. And I'll tell you what, they did get embarrassed, but everybody can have a bad game. Everybody can have a turkey. Just ask the Dallas Cowboys. They'll tell you that they had one off week. Is it an off week, or is it the start of things to come? Until I find that answer out, I've still got the Packers winning the NFC North.
I got the Packers winning the North because we forget that they were playing without both of their starting offensive tackles on Sunday Night Football. Jordy Nelson got injured in the game. They've had a couple other injuries on defense. If this team ever gets healthy, watch out.
I got the Packers as well. I don't know what to make of the way they came out in that game the other night. Is that just a bad matchup for them?
They were without both offensive tackles.
True. The other line was pretty bad.
And then when Jordy Nelson went down, they became one-dimensional. I mean, all they had was Devontae Adams. It seemed like they threw to him a bunch.
You know, they had the forces doing it. They kept trying to get it to Martellus Bennett, and Bennett couldn't catch the ball a couple times, and Randall Cobb dropped the pass, and Jeff Janis is staying on the sideline, which I love how Collinsworth kept highlighting him about 5 different times. You know, Jeff Janis is on the sideline. They haven't brought him in yet. Remember that Hail Mary? It's like, okay, Chris, we remember. We got it.
Wow. Collinsworth. I love his lean when he leads in, Josh, to Al Michaels. NFC East, I've had Dallas all 3 weeks, and I have them, or first 2 weeks, I have them again, despite what took place. I hinted at that a minute ago. You've got 3 1-1 teams in an NFC East that we think is going to be very close. I think we all agree on that. Yeah, the Giants are 0-2, but to me, the Cowboys are still the team to beat.
I am jumping off the Giants bandwagon. This is probably my biggest change since we started doing this year. I'm going to go with the team who looks the least bad of the NFC East teams. and that is your Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
All right. I don't. It's not out of the realm. I'm going with Dallas in the East. I had the Giants the first couple of weeks. I just think Dallas, when push comes to shove with that running game, that's a difference maker for me, man. They will run the ball in a big situation, in a close game.
They'll run it with an elite running back.
You mean except when Ezekiel Elliott quits on his team like this past Sunday?
That was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad. Well, you know what? Sometimes you can't count on guys like that. You know, you wonder at what point is he just going to do that to you? He didn't do it last year.
That's what happens.
Because times aren't tough.
That's what happens when you enable someone who's full of bad behavioral patterns.
That's right. Your wild cards.
Well, because I had the Bucks winning the South, Atlanta for sure is a wild card team for me and has been in week 1, week 2, and week 3. I've got Carolina as my second wild card team. Now, Cam Newton had a health scare on Sunday, but looks like he's okay, and so the Panthers then would be my second wild card team.
Yeah, I can't go with the Panthers. Greg Olsen out for the season with a broken foot, just had surgery on the IR. Give me the Bucks. I've been sticking with the Bucks all this time. I love Jameis Winston offense. I got a newcomer, Detroit Lions, Matthew Stafford.
You know, I had Carolina winning the South for a couple of weeks, but because of that Olsen injury, I didn't only take him off the South. I don't even think they're a wild card team. He is a huge loss, and their offense has been horrible with him. They scored 9 points against Buffalo this week, and they barely went out in San Francisco and scored anything. Now, their defense has played outstanding, but that offense is a problem, so I can't even put them in the wild card right now. I've got Detroit. I was impressed with them last night, and I got Philadelphia as the second wild card team. My Tampa's in the mix there. The NFC's got a lot more options. than the AFC does.
I got a quick little stat for you guys on Matthew Stafford. Since 2014, he has 16 fourth-quarter comeback wins. That accounts for 55.2% of the Lions' wins since 2014.
Thoughts, PT?
Matthew Stafford's a guy I've been high on for a long time. And look, anytime you get him a balance of some running game, I mean, I was zoned in on Ebron last night. He's got a tight end. He's got a running back in Amir Abdullah. And then he's able to have the freedom. He can always chuck it. Now he can chuck it knowing that he's got other things to rely on in the game plan.
All right, that's your who's in, who's out after week number 2 in the NFL. They're the 12 teams we think will make the NFL playoffs. Your thoughts at 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. Send us a text and tell us who's in and who's out. Who did we leave out and who shouldn't have been in there?